Hello, viewers. Welcome back to another boring episode of An Old Man with a Cellular Phone. In this episode, we are going to be testing the new battery. It's a 30 amp hour, and I featured it on my last two videos, so we won't get right back into that. But I have it here connected to my radio power supply, and right now I have everything off. And I have this supply disconnected through the trigger switches, just shutting everything off. It's normally connected to my main power, my main solar power. But today, what I'm going to focus on is just the radio kit. What we have is the XPA 125B amplifier, 100 watt amplifier from Xiegu. And that goes with the Xiegu G90 radio, the filthy Xiegu G90 radio, as it were. Well, that really shows up on camera, don't it? And we're going to look at what its current draw is on idle consumption, as well as the current consumption for this on idle. And then we're going to go ahead and fire it up and make a few calls out on the radio. And through this handy dandy watt meter, we're going to keep an eye on how much power it actually uses. So let's get into that now. Clearly we're at 0 amps. So we will turn on the radio. Now this is with no volume. It runs at 0.64 amps. Now we'll turn the volume up a bit. And we're still 6364 on the amps. Now I'm going to turn on the amplifier. And what we're watching is that 8.4 watts. The amp just come on, and it adds 0.4 watts, 0.3, 0.4 watts, which really isn't bad. That was like, 0.02 amps to put this on standby. So running the amplifier on standby is certainly not going to give you a big power draw. You're not going to really save any power by keeping it turned off. So here I've secured a frequency in the 20 meter band for my use. I have put on the amplifier. I'm actually going to turn off the amplifier and just leave the amp powered on, but the amplification turned off. So operating the G90 radio at 1 watt through my amplifier, we're going to look at the current draw. Testing, testing, testing. We're looking at the current draw of the G90 radio. Testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Looking at the current draw of the G90 radio. Testing, testing. So about 2.2 amps or 30 watts. That's not bad. Now we're going to turn on the amplifier, and we'll look at the output power using a 100 watt amp and the same 1 watt from the Xiegu. Testing, testing, testing. We are testing the power output of the G90 radio and the XPA 125 amplifier at 100 watts. So that's actually very favorable for the for amperage and draw, I think. Testing, testing, testing. About 6.5 amps to throw out a 100 watt carrier. Well, it bounces between 80 or 90. We can switch to CW and see. So that's about 65 watts out on the amplifier. I don't think that's too bad for power draw at all. So now I'm going to turn on my FTM 100 and we'll see what that adds to the draw. So that added roughly 0.6 amps, brought us up to 15.7 watts. That's still not too bad. I'm happy with that. 1.2 amps at idle to run 3 pieces of radio equipment, not to mention the low power draw when using the amplifier. You know, for portable operation, for camping, for emergency use, for all of these reasons, that's actually very favorable in my opinion. Some people would like a lot less, and they're a lot more picky than I am about these sorts of things. But for myself, I think that's jolly good. So to have these 3 radios powered up, running full time at 1.2 amps, using a 30 amp battery, that's all day long with no solar input at all. So, I'm pretty happy with that myself. And then, of course, the more you use it, the faster you're going to deplete the battery. But the math people miss when it comes to how long the battery will last is with the transmission. They tend to make their calculation as though they're transmitting at 100 watts. So they call it, 150 watts off the battery, and it's a 24/7. You never stop transmitting. And the truth is, you're only transmitting a very minute amount of time. Most of the time, you're listening. There's either dead air or you're listening to the other signal. And when you do transmit, you're only transmitting for 30 to 45 seconds at a time. It'll take a long time for the power to build up and actually, cost you some serious amperage off the battery. That's pretty much all I have for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to finish the rest of the day playing with all of my radios and trying to deplete that battery until the BMS shuts off again, so I can have a look at quite realistically exactly how much radio time I get. I've already checked into a couple of nets. I did a little testing for you guys just now, so it has been running for a bit. But, yeah, that's all I have for you for this video. I'm going to play with my toys. Have a great day. Do feel free to leave a comment.